points. 6 simple points. By the way, there's more I could say, but I'm going to narrow it down to just 6. 6 points that if we truly embrace them and enact them can be game changers for us. First, we have to tear down any distinction between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. Anti-Zionism doesn't sometimes lead to anti-Semitism. Anti-Zionism doesn't occasionally bleed into anti-Semitism. We have to make the case very clearly that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. And that's why the Secretary of State in 2019, my former boss and one of my heroes, Mike Pompeo, stood before 18, yes, he deserves applause. He deserves applause. That means fasten your seatbelts. You're not getting a slip of the tongue here or a casual off-the-cuff comment. You're getting United States policy. He said, let me go on the record. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. And that's exactly what it is. Brooke was right in what she just said, that political Zionism started 150 years ago. But let's be very clear. Zionism wasn't created in 1948. Zionism didn't spring out of the first Zionist Congress. Zionism was born in Parashat Lech Lecha. Zionism found its soul when Moses led the Jewish people to the Promised Land. And Zionism was expressed in painful longing by the Babylonian captives who sat on the banks of the rivers Babylon and said, that is what Zionism is. This is something, sadly, that many Jews in the diaspora have forgotten. Yes, we are a religion. Yes, we have a faith in God. Yes, we are a culture. But let's not forget. Let's not forget what we were first. We were first Am Yisrael. And when we take the Torah out of the Aron HaKodesh every week, we say, Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael. We are a people. And by the way, it is by virtue of our peoplehood that we have a right to self-determination in our ancestral homeland. Religions don't get countries. Nations get countries. One of the chief manifestations of the anti-Semitism of the Palestinians and of the radical left is not only to deny our connection to the Jewish homeland, it is to deny the very character of the Jewish people as a people, to deny Jewish ethnicity. And too many Jews have joined with our enemies in undermining Jewish ethnicity. We have to shout it from the rooftops. Third is we have to combat all forms of anti-Semitism, all the ideologies. We can't pick and choose. There are 3 ideological sources, as I've said. And you know what? If you leave 2/3 or even 1/3 of the tumor untreated, the patient doesn't do well. So if you're serious about combating the scourge of Jew hatred, you have to fight it no matter what ideological clothing it wears. Often, the most noxious form of oppression in the worldview of the purveyors of this radical ideology. By the way, if you assign people societal roles based on the color of their skin, I think there's a very common word for that. Racism. But when you call Jews privileged oppressors purely because they're Jewish and supposedly white, no matter the color of their skin, well, there's a word for that too. Anti-Semitism. I'm clear. It is critically important to protect Jewish students against harassment and discrimination. But let's be clear, that's not sufficient. That's a start. But hatred in the Arab world as well, largely through Hezbollah, which runs a network of anti-Semitic schools. Now the Islamic Republic of Iran is a chief funder and chief supporter of Palestinian anti-Semitism. It's that onslaught. But let me ask you this. Are wars won without mounting an offense? Can you even win a football game without putting an offensive team on the field? No. If you want to win a strategic victory in the fight against Jew hatred, you've got to also go on the offense. and not just defend. Every year has declared a period of time for celebrating Jewish contributions to the United States. It used to be Jewish Heritage Week, and since 2016, it's been Jewish American Heritage Month. It's every May, and by the way, May was chosen because of Yom Ha'atzmaut. No kidding. In fact, when it was Jewish Heritage Week, it would move between April and May, always the week of Yom Ha'atzmaut. It's a staggering fact. For those of you who are Americans in the room, did you know this? I bet you didn't. I spoke all over the United States in front of American audiences, including Jewish leaders, who would look at me with blank stares. Netflix has programs. Every school has a curriculum that is actually talked about in classrooms. But you know, it's not the fault of the president that Jewish American Heritage Month has little content. It's the fault of the Jewish community. It's our job to inject content into a presidentially declared celebration of our own heritage. And in fact, to embrace the godly mission for which we were chosen. It is my prayer that through the work of remarkable leaders like you, Avi, through the work of remarkable leaders, the likes of which we have heard during this conference, and audiences like you who deeply care about this problem and want to make a difference, it is my prayer that in these next few weeks, we will put aside all division. We will put aside those things that force us apart, and we will together embrace our journey, embrace our connection to our history and our God and our homeland, and together build Tikkun Olam B'Malchut Shaddai, and that better world that our children and grandchildren so richly deserve. Thank you so very much.